Hello, everyone. My name is Andreas Diaz. Me and Will are back again for another spectacular Marvel Plus talk. Sorry for the long delay for Moon Knight episode 5. Family mystery had to do. But me and Will be discussing episode 5 and 6 for this week for Moon Knight, and of course, we'll discuss the overall our opinion on the show. Will, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited to talk about Moon Knight. I rewatched episode 5 and 6. Do you have a chance to rewatch episode 5? Any chance?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Uh, I know it's been over 2 weeks since that episode came out.
Mhm.
So let's kind of jump into episode 5 before we get into episode 6. What's your overall opinion on episode 5 of Moon Knight?
I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was
Oh,
probably the strongest for me, the strongest one.
okay. Oh,
Yeah. Why do you have a different opinion?
um, I, I, I think I'm like the inverse. I actually like
Okay.
the series finale, and it's my
I
favorite.
really liked the season finale too. Yeah, but
Yeah. Um, we'll get into our like overall opinion. I think I love the show. It's I think it replaced Hawkeye for me as my favorite show. Um, I felt it was very consistent this whole 6 week. Um, that we've been discussing the show,
Mhm.
and so I have no like. I mean, we brought up the nitpicks and the negatives, but I think overall the show was very much focused, which I was very happy. So,
Yeah.
uh, sticking with episode 5, I do like this episode. I guess I was shocked with the direction we did with um how we dealt with his two personality. Like
Mm.
we didn't get yet Jake, which we'll discuss in episode 6, of course. But I was very shocked how we address that Mark created Steven while he was going through the tough times when he was growing up after
Mhm.
his brother died. um of course, Mark failed to save his brother from drowning, and so it's like I think episode 5 was, I think, the best. I think it's actually the best origin story we have so far in the show. In the MCU, I think it definitely explained why Mark is Mark and why we got Steven. And I think I think Oscar, Oscar Isaac did an amazing job in this episode 5, and I was very impressed.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. But yeah, where you want to go? What was the things you like about episode 5? Like how it made it be your favorite episode? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
What point?
I mean, I just really love when these Disney Plus shows truly like become character studies.
Yes.
So just having that focus on Mark's backstory, and then have him like physically interacting with Steven.
Yes.
I thought that was very like well done, and it really like I don't know, it made me care about both of those characters a lot more.
Yeah. I think that's the thing I like about the series coming out
Hmm.
is the Steve and Mark relationship. I was not expecting to like it. Like they really had something with the show, and it was like it's just this weird, like odd couple, like
Hmm.
in like a very psychological, interesting way. Mark needed Steven, and then Steven, didn't know that, he was very important to Mark, and I really liked that. I was just shocked about the revelation in this episode, in episode 5,
Hmm.
about, Mark he created this persona of Stephen Grant. Um, from I guess from the movie, the tomb, um, was it the
Yeah,
tomb? Yeah, and like for
Tomb
him,
Busters, I think.
yeah, that right, and that we saw from episode, I think a little bit in episode 3, but then through episode 4,
Hmm.
um, and just seeing, because his mom, of course, in a fashion way, when you lose this one child, you start to lose your mind and reality, and she started to abuse Mark. It was really sad to see. Um, the mom went to that way. I was like, come on. I mean, he was a kid. What are you gonna do? He was trying to call you. I mean, but he was far. You know,
Yeah.
it's just so sad where Mark's life went to.
Mhm.
And then it kind of adds more to this, like, water, like the water is like this recurring motif that I wasn't expecting. Like, now, like, the goldfish makes a lot more sense. Why we have that recurring image in the show. And so it's this episode pay off a lot of the imagery and just weird ticks that I was like, okay, were you doing this? And then it made sense with this episode, which I like. Uh, but yeah, I will say, it was very cool to see. Uh, what was it? The the it's been a while to rewatch this thing. I'm trying to look at the Easter eggs. Here. So, like, okay, so let's kind of dig it back to the Egyptian goddess, the hippo.
Alright.
I Yeah, the horror, yes. I really like that character. I really
Hmm.
like she became a mainstay, and, like, of course, when we get into episode 6, I really like this character. I hope we see her more, with Layla, of course,
Yeah.
uh, because of the Avatar, and of course with the twist that we got, that maybe we haven't gone out yet with the deal that Mark did with Khonshu in episode 6. But I really like her, and I like this, the what was it, the weight of balance thing, like
Hmm.
they were waiting, like they were going to the afterlife, and, like, because there were two, I it was kind of intriguing to see, like, who's gonna die or not, and I was, of course Mark was gonna die, but then Steven sacrificed himself to save Mark, which is cool. And so, what do you thought about that balance thing? You thought it was a necessary tool for episode 5, or was it kind of like, mm, okay, what do you think?
I liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. I wish they had addressed Jake in that episode, I think. But
Yes.
we can get to that when we talk about episode 6.
Yeah. um yeah, especially, I mean, was it the post credit scene?
Hmm.
Which we got? I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I will definitely confirm this. Because we can discuss a little bit with episode 6, but, like, I really appreciate it. Felt like a lot like Legion. Like, this show is messing us. Is messing me up a little bit. like first you're thinking, okay, we went this way, and then now, okay, I am not, what is going on here? Like it's literally like Legion. Like, it's pretty cool. And I think it's better than Legion, I will say. How they handle the twists and turns, like what's real and what's reality. I think the show did a good job of balancing that up than Legion, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about that. Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, I found this show very easy to follow.
okay.
So,
Um, I wonder if, like do you expect the twist that we got in episode 6?
um, just the existence of Jake, or
Well, I mean, that, like we know Jake was coming. I'm, like, saying, like, the twist that Kanshu didn't leave the body. Like,
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, like that part because I was like, okay, um, what do we think? Because when we get into episode 6, I will discuss that because, like, I guess for me, what like because the thing with Legion, it's sometimes like it didn't do too much of like the bending of what's happening in reality. Like like the episode in Legion season 2. If we remember, there was at the time when we did like the variant David, and each reality one was he was rich, and then one he was homeless, and then we come back to the storyline right after that like episode to deal with the Shadow King. Here it's like we got a post credit scene of Kanshu still in the body of Mark, who made a deal with Kanshu, and is like, you say, look, after this fight, we're leaving afterwards, and like he agreed. But then, like, I guess I wonder if Kanshu knew about the third personality in Mark, which I'm very curious. Like that for me is like a WTF for me in that
mhm,
moment. So a lot of question for me in the last episode. Um, but like, anyway, we see his mom. Let's get into the flashback of episode 5. We got the flashback with his mom and his dad. It was cool to see his parents.
mhm.
And what we think about the parents? Do you recognize them as actors? What do you think? They were used very well in this episode and episode 5.
Yeah, I liked them. I don't think I had seen either of those actors in anything before.
No, neither did I.
Um, but yeah, yeah, I thought it was very interesting. Um, the mother reacting to the death of her son by blaming Mark was like it was very like dark and like um
And disturbing, I think you
yeah,
say.
but in like a way that felt very like real, um
Mm.
which was yeah, I liked that. I don't know. I think it yeah.
It like it also like I was surprised if Marvel Studios went there. Like, but
Yeah,
then
exactly.
I think what I like about this series, it didn't compromise. Which I like. Um, like like I mean, the only compromise they did was the violence, but like I don't think for me the violence should be that important in the story. If it's like if you're emphasizing the violence in your story, right? Like the Stanley Kubrick Clockwork Orange, or like Martin Scorsese's mafia movies,
Mhm.
Goodfellas or Casino, then I get why you do the over top violence, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think hyperviolence should have like a purpose.
Yes.
Um,
Eh, yeah, and I don't like um when we start to do a gimmicky, like um like I haven't seen Doctor Strange 2 yet, but I heard you know that like because the expectation of the like them calling it a horror film,
mhm.
it kind of worries me, because it's like, look, you can tell different things in horror, but it's not always gore, or gore and sex and all that, like you've seen in rated R films.
Yeah,
So
I don't want
yeah.
to spoil anything for you for Doctor
Okay.
Strange too.
All right. But yeah, I know I want to bring that up because I know a lot of people are questioning, like, where's the Doctor Strange 2? Don't worry, guys, we're gonna get to that soon. Let's like cool off the air for some people to talk about this film, because do you think it's the most divided film so far since Iron Man 3?
Um, I feel like
or exceed, but like
I
it's
guess
not
I
what.
haven't really talked to anyone about it since I've seen it.
Okay,
And I haven't had time to like really look at like I read a Reddit thread, but those are
okay,
always just full of
just
people who are gonna praise the movies no matter what. So
yeah, okay, mm,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I definitely have my thoughts in there.
okay,
We'll get into it later. Yeah.
yeah. We'll get into it later. So I really like that, and I like how we really show how damaged Mark is as a person.
Hmm.
Like that was another compromise we didn't do.
Yeah.
So I really like
And
how psychologically damaged he is as a character
yeah,
in the show, and I think that is the most successful thing they did in this series for me.
yeah. And it felt like a very like realistic trauma for someone to have
Yeah.
and go through. Um,
Hmm.
they
Yeah.
they did it very well. Yeah. And the just the people who played the parents did a very good job.
Yes. I really like the dad. He.
Yeah, he's kind of spineless, but
Yeah.
in a way where you like I could see like real people acting like that and like having those huge flaws as parents. Just like really failing for
Yeah.
Mark in that way.
Yeah. And I like how he's like I really like how supported he is with Mark.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
like he wants to be a good father, um, but he can't stand up to his wife, so that's preventing him from like really.
Yeah.
He's
Um.
doing the best that he can.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I guess oh well, yeah, I'm like remembering back, like I was like did they address what happened to the mom? And I realized no, she died
Yeah,
in that episode. I was like, oh, okay.
yeah. Which
Yeah.
while we're on the subject, I like that they brought his like Jewish faith into it a lot in this episode.
Oh yes, that's another thing I liked about it. They yeah, they're doing a good job of adapting Moon Knight's like comic book accuracy in the show.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and modernizing it in the same time, which is good. So yeah. And I think what was it one of the other things that was kind of cool they did was they I think was it the specimen toy like was kind of like hinting at his fourth altar, which like this is another like personality that was in the Jeff let me see, yeah, the Jet Lemire's run. So that was with the multiple Moon Knight personalities with Jake and Steven we were doing, so that was a cool reference to set that up early.
Hmm.
um yeah, and I also really like the brother. Like we don't see much about the brother, and I know I think I was checking that this brother is very important. Like he's actually another villain, so I'm kind of curious if we're gonna see this villain, the Shadow Knight is AC called. So very curious if we, because we don't see the body, so you know and the thing that we see, if you die you are becoming an avatar, so we don't know if one of the gods that are evil, they probably took Mark's brother and made him into an avatar, so you know every time you don't see a body it means they're not dead. It's like Bucky from the first Avenger.
Hmm.
And it's like the classic trope, like you don't if you don't discover the body you're not dead. And so I think like we just hear voices, when Mark or Steven was going into the well, but
Hmm.
like we don't see it, and it's just like the voices. And so and two, I don't trust the Mark and Steven, because it's like you don't know, is this real or real or fake,
Hmm.
so especially episode 6 for me, this helps me actually enjoy episode 5 more, because of the twist. And I feel like I don't think his brother is dead. He's alive, but like Mark doesn't know, you know?
Hmm.
So that's the big thing. Um, okay, so let's what were the other things that was uh that we need to bring up? Like besides him becoming Moon Knight, that was kind of cool. Seeing Leia's father you know die in that flashback, and we get our quick mention of Bush. Was it the other Moon Knight villain?
Is it Bushman?
Yeah. Cool. Cool. We're setting up that person as well. So he does assist in the MCU. So whenever we get another you know lead up like a lead up to Moon Knight again, either for a second season or a movie or a crossover, we know that character is in in the universe now.
Hmm.
So but we'll see. So okay, so we get that or um over the way. What else we want to talk about? You have any? Let's get into like any negatives or nitpicks. Any nitpicks or negatives you have for episode 5? Um,
Um,
um, that you have. I'm trying to figure out.
I I think it's related to something that I think I'd prefer to talk about during the episode 6 discussion.
Oh,
So I might hold off.
okay,
Um,
interesting. Okay. Um, I guess we're gonna get into episode 6 soon, because there's not like a lot much to say about episode 5. It's basically a very cool like sneak peek of Mark's personality journey, like how he got to be this messed up, and
mhm.
then we get a quick glimpse of how he became Moon Knight, which we really knew, because like I the reason I'm not sticking with the Khonshu and like how he agreed to become Moon Knight is because like it was they've been talking about that in the last 4 episodes, and when we got to this, I was like, like that was my nitpick. It's like we've been discussing how he became Moon Knight, and then when we got to it, it was like so unspectacularly. Like we knew the father died, and like
Yeah, it was exactly what had been described.
yeah, and
Um,
most interesting parts was just his trouble and messed up life, really.
mhm.
So I just feel like I was like when we got to it, I was like, oh, okay, so that's like I thought maybe Mark killed Layla's father. I thought that could have been a good twist, but they didn't went there. So it's here and there. So um, but yeah, and then and this is where I would say the Steven and Mark relation really got to me, is when they discovered that he created Steven to be this like more strong person to protect him from his mom, and like now Steven understood that he was so important to Mark, and it was very heartwarming that towards the end of episode 5 he jumped out of the boat and tried to make Mark safe. I really dug towards the end of the episode. It was just so sad when he turned to stone. I
Mhm.
Oh my god, it was like, oh my god, don't do this to me.
I know. Yeah.
And and then a little bit when we get to episode 6, I was so just like the opening just made me very happy, because I really truly care about their relationship in this episode 5. So that's good. Any more thoughts in episode 5? um I think
Um,
we're ready to go to episode 6.
yeah, I think so.
All right. All right. So, piggyback on, I can't remember. This is how we open. Did we open with Mark still in the boat?
I
Or
think we no, because we ended episode 5 with him in the field of reeds, and then I think
okay,
episode 6 opens with Harrow freeing Amit.
okay, yes, thank you. Okay, because which I was rewatching again very quickly and see, just remind myself what the plot points. Yes. So, by the way, like, I, I get, you're in a tight budget, but I can't believe the gods got their, butts kicked by, uh, with Arthur like that quickly with the stick. Um,
Hmm.
and like it's funny how he got to, like it was kind of funny. Like, okay, after they after Arthur got the what is it, the Ament, and then now he's like full power. And by the way, it was cool to see the cane transform to
Hmm.
now like an alligator. And and then you see the and then he goes to, what do you call it, the stop, um what do you call that when you get stopped and you need to do the checkup when you travel to this one location. I don't know, what do you call that, Will? I Before they go to the tomb. um um I,
Like a security checkpoint.
yeah, security check. I should know that. Yeah, yeah. Oh my god. I'm not a travel person. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the checkpoint. And this is where I don't know. You laugh at this. Was funny when the I'm going to call it the hippo because I cannot say the character's name is too tough for me. I'm sorry, but the hippo talking to Layla was funny.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm dead. I'm talking to you." Sorry, or in that phrase maybe, but it was so funny when she was talking to Leia as the dead body. It was so hilarious, and she was doing the like like it's like she was actually going back to dead. Oh my god, that was so funny. I just love that character. I was so happy with this character. And yeah, and then this is where the villains and Arthur Hathaway got into the tomb. And then they did this she beats up the was it the gods, and was crazy. So yeah,
Hmm.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah, um I like Layla,
Yes.
and I hope that she sticks around.
Yes. And I hope we see her again. She became a hero, which is good.
Mm.
Um, which I wasn't expecting this episode. I really dug her being like an avatar to the
The-
tablet. Uh,
yeah.
and I just really dug how she became a power couple with Moon Knight, and that was very
Hmm.
cool. The finale was really awesome, and I just didn't expect that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Hold on, Will. Something's going on with the Zoom. Just give me a minute. What's this? Uh, uh, so anyway, is there any else besides the opening? So then after what was it? After uh Arthur, I say releases Emmett, we get Emmett, uh, Amit, sorry, Amit, not Emmett. Oh my god, from the Lego movie.
It's all right.
Yeah, and so Amit, comes to his single form, and then talking to Arthur for a little bit. And and there were, she was talking about the unbalance and how he wasn't like acceptable, but like it was interesting to see Amit accepting him as her avatar.
Hmm.
So it was kind of intriguing that despite his like unbalance he has done, like him being unbalanced, he was still going to be used as an avatar. It was very interesting to see in episode 6. So
Hmm.
which it's intriguing, but then it kind of foreshadows uh towards the the post credit scene how I don't think they don't like I think the gods kind of are loosey goosey with their rules, like how you're gonna be used by them. You know, like yeah, you made a deal, but it doesn't mean they're gonna uphold it, which is interesting. And I feel like that should have been like a foreshadow of like what's gonna happen in the post credit scene. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then and then of course when Arthur breaks into well destroys the temple of the tomb, Layla got to the some of the statues that the gods captured one of their own. Of course, she freed Khonshu, and and of course we see a battle between Khonshu and Emmett,
Mm-hmm.
Amit, which was really cool. I didn't expect that, and
Yeah.
they have two fights, which was kind of cool. I wasn't expecting them to fight, like see them fighting in their forms. Like I just
Right.
thought, like were you expecting that? Like I
No, I figured they would just fight through their avatars.
yeah,
Well,
I
like
was
Mark would have to fight Amit.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I it was I feel like when I get into my positives, I think one of the things that helped this to be the great finale is because it's been so self-contained from the MCU,
mm-hmm.
and I was not so bothered by that. Like if it was like if they did something that was like almost like a similar finale from like any MCU show we have so far or a movie, I could have been like dislike this finale more than
Mm-hmm.
I am having because I really enjoyed the finales because it was so much engaging and I was just under my seat. So and so after and this is where I really like this episode more because I really like how Mark sacrificed himself to save Steven, and I really enjoyed that. And it was so great that in this episode we really see how they came together as friends and they started to share the body, like they were no longer arguing each other like they were in the last like 5 episodes. So I was really neat how their friendship became so close now than
Mm-hmm.
they were in the beginning of episode 2. So
Yeah.
it's big. What do you think about Mark and Steven's relation in episode 6? Like, was this the thing that made you really like this finale as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I just love the way that they were able to like bounce off each other. Like that fight scene where they're fighting like together was just really cool to see.
Yes.
Where they would like switch back and forth.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and
I
they
really
were
like
like
that.
really like communicating and understanding each other. It's really cool.
Yeah. And funny moments like
Mm-hmm.
when Kanshi was gonna make the night like make the whole uh the steed to be going dark, and then Steven say, "Okay, you can take this one, Mark," and then he flies up. Like that was my favorite funny moment in this episode. That was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my god, yeah, yeah, that was another thing. I like that they switch up um the fights with Steven and Mark in their suits, because they're both visually cool, and I really like we see the different like weapons, like kind of like in the Batman way. Like you see him using the what should I call it? The moon if I'm
Mm-hmm.
calling those.
Yeah, yeah.
And we see Mark flying with his cape, the like kind of like gliding like Batman does in his movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mark or Steven, he has that like Daredevil um just classic like street fight with his suit and those two kantans you call it, um
Mm-hmm.
that he was using. That was really cool. And man, the fight between him, the Moon Knight versus Arthur, was so brutal. It was very classic like superhero like fight,
Mm-hmm.
like in a comic, which I really enjoy. Like because sometimes like this didn't this is why I like this series finale, because you didn't have like all the villain is like the hero, we've been discussing in the podcast,
Hmm.
like Ironmonger versus Iron Man, or uh, the Abomination and Hulk.
Right.
Like this was different. You got Arthur. Visually who he is, and he has a stick,
Hmm.
and like, and then you know Moon Knight, and like, and you see the different, like, well, he was versing Mark mostly,
Hmm.
um, but you still see Steven fight in the climax, which is good. So that really helped, like, have this very clean fight than this boring drag kind of fight, and also having Amit versus Kangshu also helped to layer that as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it was nice that they had different like power sets.
yes,
So just like visually, it was interesting instead of like in Iron Man, it's like two people in mech suits punching each other, which is like, it's
yeah,
cool. It's just I'm tired of the trope that
yeah.
Marvel does a lot.
I know it's so bad. Like, I mean, like One Vision does this as well. Like,
Yeah, it's
it's just um and then like Falcon with the Soldier kind of has
right.
that.
Most of them do it.
Yeah, mostly yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of mostly them, um what is it, Amit's sucking the souls. I don't know if you had this right away when Amit was doing this, and Arthur doing it as well. Sucking the souls, like it was like the Soul Eater from the Derailer from Shang-Chi and the
Oh,
Legends of, like,
yeah. I didn't put that together, but yeah.
yeah, it was kind of funny. They did another soul sucking like climax, but
Hmm.
it also reminded me of Ghostbusters, the first film, with
Mm,
the purple, like when the ghosts are released from the
yeah.
container. Like it was like when I saw that, I was like, okay, we're doing this and we're doing this trope. um but yeah. Okay, so we were discussing the finale. I liked
Yeah.
how
And we should
Layla.
probably
Oh,
just address that we had some
oh yeah.
technical issues since I think we were cut
Well,
off mid-sentence.
Mid says it. So I'm sorry, folks, if you saw a interruption in the podcast. Fortunately, the Zoom has now this 40 minutes thing. So sorry for the technical difficulties. So now we'll be back, and quickly wrapping up this podcast in 40 minutes, presumably. Anyway, so is that good? That's a good way to tell
Yeah,
about.
no, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, sorry about the interruption. But yeah, we're discussing the finale, and we're discussing the fight, how it was unique. I like how Leia is incorporated in here. And by the way, uh, like we know in the show they were like setting her up as a hero,
Hmm.
and I I I think this is like almost like the Arrowverse kind of thing. It's like, oh, you're a hero now. Like, okay. Like, I'm just shocked we just got Layla to become a hero. Like, you think they're gonna say that for like a movie, but okay. But
Yeah, or at least like season two. Like I wasn't expecting it uh in this season,
hmm
but
but
I'm here for it.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, at least I like her,
Hmm.
and I don't have a problem with that. I think they did a good job of seeding her becoming a hero, or like chasing the hero role.
Hmm.
So that was good. I just like how like comic booky this finale was, and like how just how bonkers it went to, and like it really felt like a superhero movie level,
Hmm.
in a good way, which is good. So yeah. But yeah, so and then of course the hero won. I mean, Moon Knight, and Layla, trap uh Amit into Highway's body, like into like I guess like a the statue, like how Kanshu became as well,
Mm-hmm.
and that was very intriguing. And then we see, you know, Mark doing the Batman thing of like, okay, or like Kanshu is telling Mark, finish it, and then of course he didn't do it, and say like, okay, uh, I mean, he's doing this bad thing. I'm not gonna kill. We're not doing your part. We're done here, and then Kanshu disappear, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then so both Mark, Moon Knight, and Layla hug, and they you know, they cheerful, and then we do this kind of like cut to them going back to the apartment, right? Like it kind of went full circle. So like now Mark and Steven are now co-deciding as like personalities, and then we have the return of the gag of them waking up and not realizing they already tied their leg into the rope they
Mm-hmm.
did. So that was neat. And then we cut it. Like that was the end of the show. But no, we got our first post credit scene in this Moon Knight series, and but I was kind of shocked. Okay, like okay, we're seeing instead of Mark being in the mental hospital, as we've seen throughout the series, we get, of course, Arthur being the patient, right? And then we get this, you know, mystery guy with the gloves, like he's like a Italian mafia hitman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't know what's going on. Okay, it could be a hit, right? And then we get into the limo, and I love this. Of course, this is Jake. I love the Jake just like toss the retail like so aggressively, like okay, you're in the limo, and then he kicks the retail off. It was like he kicks it off
Mm-hmm.
the curve. It was so funny. I was like, oh wow. Okay, well, like it could have been nice to give it to someone who needs it, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
hospital. But anyway, I thought it was funny. Like he kicks it very aggressively, and then we get this cool comic book. Just I wasn't expecting to see Concho in his suit, like in
That
the
looked cool.
comics. Oh
Yeah.
my god, it was so cool, and like oh my god, him talking to, author, and then you start to realize, okay, we're still in Mark's mind, but we're in a third personality. And he's like, he's telling him like, yeah, of course, you think, despite Mark making the deal, he doesn't know that he's actually poorly damaged as a person. And we get the third personality we've been discussing, Jake Lorry, right? That's how you say his name.
Lockley.
Lockley, Jake Lockley. We see Jake Lockley. He does his hitman thing. He shoots Arthur 3 times, and then that's it. The show ends, and that was a cool post credit scene. Uh, very, very dark and very dark comedy, I would say, at the end of the show. But wait, what do you think about this post credit scene? Like, it just throws me off the loop after that post credit scene. I'm like, okay, we're still in this unreality kind of journey with Moon Knight. But what do you think about the post credit scene?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it was it was too late to introduce Jake Lockley, I think.
Oh, really? Okay,
I think they should have done it in episode 5.
that's true.
And I like I don't know. They should have opened that other sarcophagus that was shaking in the like fake asylum on the boat.
Yes.
Um
Yeah.
and I don't know, I really thought that their hearts weren't going to balance on the scale until they like figured out that they had a third personality.
Yeah.
And then they would like reveal all the times that we've already seen where it's been
Been
Jake instead of the other two.
Yeah.
But instead they just like kept hinting at it, and then in the finale, like the big fight scene, we don't actually get to see it end. They just like
Oh
Cut
yes, I
to after that bothered
yeah
me. Um,
yeah. I was thinking about that. Yeah,
it was cool to do it for like another fight to be like, oh, what's going on there? But to do it for like the actual finale and then to not explain what's going on until a post-credits scene,
that's
it just
true.
felt like weird, like a weird narrative choice.
Yeah. I think when we get to like our overall opinions of the show, I think I feel like this they need to extend episodes. Like this should have been an 8 episode show,
Hmm.
really, or 10. Like that limit. I feel like because there was so much they did. Um, which it's a big positive. They did a lot in the six
Hmm.
episodes, but like it was like engaging and like it didn't. There was no like one episode that was lagging. You know,
Hmm.
like each episode was like top form. It did like it was like in and out, but like it got to the point where some other Disney Plus shows that we've been discussing kind of struggled at. You know, like like I think episode 3 is where they had trouble, but then this show, episode 2, was the best one. I think I say episode 2 was my favorite, and then like, but then from there, like they've been so consistent, and I like I I don't know, like I don't know how you can approach the show. I always wonder if they just did a movie with Moon Knight instead of a miniseries, like how different they could approach it. Like
Yeah,
I, especially with the personality disorder, like the psychological thing. Like, could a movie be doing that justice?
I
Oh,
don't, I don't think so. I think they wouldn't have had
right.
the time to like explore the different identities.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then also just like even beyond the dissociative identity disorder, there's a lot
Hmm.
of just like really
Heavy.
heavy like lore that you have to cover for Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you need more screen time than a movie could get you.
Exactly. And that's sometimes the trouble with the MCU. It's with their origin films
Hmm.
now is like they struggle to do that, especially in their third acts. You know, there's few exceptions to that, like Doctor Strange, or like I think the first Thor film had a better third act over the Phase One films, like the first Iron Man film and first Avenger. Third acts. But yeah, I don't know. I will say I enjoyed the post credit scene. Let me give it a giddy big back to the post credit scene.
Hmm.
Um, I liked it. I mean, we've been chasing the Jake Lockley character for so many episodes. I was like, okay, where are you gonna do with this? And I guess I like the tease because it does leave the doors open. Like
Hmm.
this is an open door from Moon Knight. Okay, like whenever we get a second season or a film or a crossover to another character, which we're gonna do, right?
Hmm.
As we've seen with Hawkeye, with Black Widow, with Elena, um, and so I feel like I think this post credit scene did a good job of saying that we're not done yet with Moon Knight, but here's what's the next thing, and the next thing is the third personality, and where we could go with that,
Hmm.
and but for me did they did wrap up everything for first season, and in a very cool way that like it's like like I like we're gonna discuss this show more because it's like a mystery. Is all that real, or was that in Mark's head, and like we were in the third personality all this time? Like like I like that. Like I like how mysterious and like this, like it's almost like Inception level where like I don't know if you have that opinion. Like this is very ambiguous. Like, was all that real? We've been watching this 6 weeks, or
I
is what do you think?
I
Well,
don't know. I think it was real.
oh
Like I
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think they're trying to pull anything like that.
Huh. I mean, I don't know. That post credit scene just threw me off the roof. I was like,
I think there were enough scenes where like both Mark and Steven had like missing time
mm,
where like
right.
yeah, it's just they had a third personality that they weren't aware of somehow.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm curious. Yeah. But yeah, I guess. I mean, we'll see. But I guess now after discussing episode 6, let's kind of get into our final thoughts and let's get kind of get. What's your like overall opinion on the show? Like, do you really enjoy it this last 6 weeks? Is this like top tier Disney Plus show ranking Marvel thing, or it's just like mid tier show? What do you think, Will?
Um, I would say top tier probably.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
yeah. Um yeah, very consistent, uh very good. Um had a few nitpicks, but
Hmm. I agree.
still like I don't know, there wasn't anything that like annoyed me like there was with Falcon and the Winter Soldier or like
Um,
the end of Hawkeye for me.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Um.
or the end of WandaVision. Even though like
Yeah.
WandaVision, the rest of WandaVision is so strong that it still is top tier. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
that
my god.
ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Moon Knight was consistent throughout and really fun. It didn't feel very like um, it felt very conventional to me at
Convention.
least. It felt like standard Marvel stuff. There wasn't anything that made it like stand out to me. Um,
Okay.
but it was still like really well made. I liked that it was self-contained.
Yes.
It wasn't like bogged down by trying to make connections to all the
The MCU.
different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Which I think there was a problem last year. I think with the Disney Plus shows.
yeah. And I think it's still going to be a problem going forward. I think Moon
Yeah.
Knight's going to be like the rare exception to that. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree everything what you say. I will disagree with you in terms of conventional. I think I will say I'm saving why I'm saying it now, but I will like what you call it? Like I will take my words back if they don't stick the landing whenever we see again Moonlight, you know?
mhm,
Like I really hope what we saw here was a new step for the MCU to take something we haven't done before is like a psychological character study with Moon Knight and like his troubled mind and like his just disorder that we have seen so far. I want that to stick in the show in his journey in the
mhm,
MCU. But I don't know if they're gonna, as you say before, being conventional or very tame, as you've been consistently saying in these episodes, which I agree. Um, I just hope they will take this opportunity and do something that's unique and new for the MCU to do now, right?
mhm,
Um, I mentioned before early in this episode, and now I really like how self-contained it was. I think it's my it replaced Hawkeye for me as my number one favorite show in
mhm,
terms of that because I really love um the show being self-contained. I like how they were not doing this heavy MCU connection. I like how creative they were in terms of storytelling. Like they did really cool stuff. I like how ambitious it was as a show. Like I really like. I actually dug the gods like mythos, the mythology and all
mhm.
that. Like I really appreciate it went all in with the mythology of the gods and the Khonshu and the avatars. Like I dug that. Like
Yeah,
it's
me
one of
too.
my yeah, that was one of my favorite things about the show, and they did not shy that. And I love how comic book accurate they were with Moon Knight. Like that's my thing I enjoy about this one.
Hmm.
Compared to maybe the other shows, they were comic book accurate, but like um, but there was something that they had like a few bumps to get to that.
Hmm.
Like trying to get Wanda to be Scarlet Witch. Sam Wilson becoming the new Captain America. And then Kate Bishop becoming Hawkeye. You know, there were bumpy roles where this show did not have a bumpy role. I was shocked that we didn't have like a weak episode. Like I fairly enjoy each episode. You know,
Hmm.
and I cannot tell you which one is my personal favorite. Like I cannot say that now. I think from like like 3 to 5, 3 to 6 is so good. It's just so consistent. I just love it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I guess I want to get into like just favorite character. I really like Mark and Steven. I really
Hmm.
love their relationship. It's one of
Yeah.
the best just friendship we did in the MCU. Like
Hmm.
after Bucky and Cap, or Cap and Tony,
Hmm.
like they're top tier friendship for me that they did. It was so good in the show.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, they were very good.
oh my god, one of the best. And
Um,
just
mhm.
go ahead. What you were gonna
No, no,
say?
you finished what you were saying. I didn't
Oh,
mean to interrupt.
no. It's my fault. I just want to quickly say, Oscar Isaac, he did a phenomenal job in the show. The six
Hmm.
episodes, he did a really good job of like differentiate the personality of Steven and Mark. Like
Hmm.
that's like incredible. Like it was definitely the level of like James McAvoy's Split role, or like the Sam Rockwell's performance in the 2009 science fiction film Moon, like with
Yeah.
Sam. It was like that for me. I think Isaac did a good job of doing the dual roles that we saw. Um, in a very unique way, like seeing reflections and then just him and like switching up his accent. Like it's really good, I think.
Hmm.
So, um,
Yeah.
eh, yeah. What other thoughts? Let's get into your thoughts. What other thoughts do you think was best for the show?
Yeah.
What's
Ethan Hawke as the villain. I
yes,
just thought his performance was incredible. Especially like you could really see that Arthur Harrow like believed in his mission and thought that he was like in the right. He thought he was like the hero of the story.
yes,
Um,
great,
yeah, I really liked that dynamic and like the philosophical differences between Khonshu's version of justice and Amit's version of justice. I thought that was like an interesting thing going on in the background.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I really like his relation with Moon Knight, like with
hmm,
Mark and Steven. I like how
yeah,
he was interacting them.
yeah. It's more of like an empathy and a pity because he's
Yes,
he's been Khonshu's avatar before and he knows how like hard that is, like how much of
yes,
a toll there is.
yes, I agreed. Yeah, I think he's my favorite villain out of these Disney Plus shows after Harkness.
Mm,
Um, I think he's really up there. They did everything right with the villain here. Like, first off, Ethan Hawke is a great actor.
yes,
And there's just no kind words to say about him. And I actually saw him talking in Montclair University once. I don't know if I
yeah,
tell you that story.
no, I know,
Okay. And it was just so real. I wasn't supposed to go there that day, and I was so fortunate to see him. And he's really good, and he's so humble, and um I think Hawk really delivered the performance here. It
hmm,
wasn't over top. He wasn't like he didn't feel like he didn't like the role. Like he really commit to this role very well. He balanced empathy but villainous and so well. in the same time. I really like that. I like we didn't do anything like, oh, he turned to a monster, or we throw him under the bus to replace him with a new villain, like like how Luke Cage did it. Like you had a
Yeah,
great villain.
Vomit didn't like come out and just kill him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was worried about that
Mm.
when she was saying like, "Oh, you're so uncompatible." Like the was it
Yeah,
the
like she didn't kill him because his scales weren't
scouts?
balanced.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, "Oh no, please don't do this." And I was kind of glad she's like, but you served me well, and like you can still be my avatar. Like I
Mhm.
need you. It was good.
Yeah. Ah, man, his performance when he was like, if you want to kill me because my scales aren't balanced, I understand.
Yes,
And he was like crying, but he was like he really believed in that cause. Yeah, that was so good.
yeah,
So
yeah.
well done.
Oh my god, yeah. Just wonderful and just like like a great handle. And I was so this is another part I love that this show did. They did not do the typical tropes of a superhero MCU thing. Like it did in some areas, but like it wasn't all over the show, which I
Hmm.
like.
Yeah.
And I liked how we didn't do the mystery villain, which was
Hmm.
great, and I
Yeah.
was so happy. Because oh my god, when we got to Hawkeye, it was like, oh my god, please don't do this, you know. And you know, I was excited for Kingpin, but it's like, why we need to do that again in Hawkeye?
Mhm.
I didn't understand that. So and then I want to get into another character I was kind of surprised to like was Layla. I
Yeah.
yeah I she pop up like she get mentioned in episode 1, and then she physically appear in episode 2. um from there, I think she was really great. She had great chemistry with Oscar, and just I think overall she was the most proactive girlfriend to a hero.
Hmm.
Um, I think since um like not Sherry. What's Black Panther's girlfriend?
Oh man, what is her name?
Her name is really difficult to say. I know who she is. It's just the name I'm trying to pronounce.
Uh, I can't
Um,
remember her name.
yeah, it's
Does it start with an N?
Nikia, I think it was, or right, something.
Oh, I want to say
Um,
Nokia, but that I think I'm thinking of like Nokia, like the
like
phones.
Lipia Nyong'o's character.
Yeah, but I'm looking it up.
Nikia. Yeah, that's her name. That's Nikia.
Nokia, yeah.
Yeah. So she's like the best one since her, and since like Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy, like
Mhm.
proactive, and like the drama was reasonable. Like we've been discussed. Like I like how I mean we mentioned I think was in what episode 3 or 4 where
It's
like
episode 4.
yeah you were talking about that, and like I
Yeah,
agree that, but at least they didn't go to
yeah.
the
It
extreme.
wasn't like I think her reaction made sense. It was just like
Yeah.
the timing of when she decided to have that conversation felt like a weird writing
Yes.
choice. It
Yep.
felt like they just weren't sure where they were going to fit that conversation into the rest of the series, so they put it there.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, yeah.
but her like emotional reaction to everything that she had like learned made sense.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. But yeah, and but after that, it was well done, and I was very happy that she became a hero, and so it was good. I like how she interact with Mark and Steven. I
Yeah.
did dug that, and I love her with Steven more than Mark. So I'm just saying. So
Mhm.
I just love her talking to Steven. I think there was this cute couple, and I like that. It's just
Yeah. Well, Steven hadn't done anything bad to her,
yeah.
so.
Well, that's that's true. Yeah, and speaking of someone doing bad to Mark and Steven, I really like Kanchu. I think he was a great character.
Yeah, I loved his design too. The like
Yes,
floating bird skull was. It looks really good.
Yeah, and of course we mentioned the comic book suit from the
Hmm.
comics that was looked great. He was really awesome. I love his like deadpan, like dark comedy humor.
Hmm.
It just hit in the right way, and I love it.
That's,
Yeah, like I think still my favorite is like I thought he was gonna talk. Like I
yeah,
actually
that was the best example of that.
yeah
That was good.
um yeah and I I really like he continues to call Mark and Steven idiots.
Hmm.
I just love that he just calls them that every time. Oh god, he was so funny. Um, w- uh, were there other characters besides that? Like, do you want to talk about uh, the hippo character? I mean, she was there for 4, 5, 6. Like Tywit.
Yeah, I liked her.
Yeah, she was funny.
Assuming that she and Layla are gonna continue to have some kind of like avatar relationship. I'd like to see more of her. So
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully, when we see Leia, I mean, when either we get confirmation if it was like a, yeah, if anything was real, we saw it in this episode.
it,
You know?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was.
Yeah. I agreed. But yeah, I so just wrapping things off. Was there like what was some of the negatives about the show? Like before we leave, like what things they should have done, or what was the missed opportunities? What do you think, Will?
Um, Again, they if they were gonna use Jake in like plot relevant ways, they should have waited, or they should have done the reveal earlier, and otherwise they should have waited until a second season to
Hmm.
actually talk about him. Because oh man, that missing the finale fight was just such a strange choice to like
Yeah,
cut away from the action at like the climax of your show. It's
yeah,
just so weird. Um, yeah, so like that should have been fixed, should have been changed. Some of the CGI wasn't that great.
yeah. Uh,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. In a lot of areas, it was like very wonky.
mhm.
Um. Which is something we had to expect. I think when when you put like a mass production of these shows and movies, it's like it's gonna be tough for those like special effects companies. You know.
Yeah, they got to turn things around really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that with Black Panther and like it. I mean,
Yeah,
Stardak.
yep.
Yeah, and then some other examples is like they can done better. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's weird, but hey, I mean, it's not too many special effects companies out there. I mean, it's just a few, and some of them are like the most expensive companies. So yeah, yeah. My like missed opportunity or negative, I will say, I think they could have done more with uh, just. I think I guess more with the Moon Knight mythology more into the series. Like I want to know like Khonshu more. I think I wanted to know more about Khonshu, like why he's doing this. Besides he wants to punish the evil, all that. Like I wonder, like I want to know why he got to that point. And I think I wanted to know more about Arthur's background as well, like how he became an avatar to Khonshu before Mark, or whoever before the new Moon Knight. Like that was the interesting take with the character, but didn't explore enough. But there were just few missed opportunities. I think they deliver such a good way, and I think they execute the ideas so well in the show than some of the other MCU Disney Plus shows. So, but yeah, anything else to discuss? Did we cover everything from the show?
I think I said everything I wanted to say.
All right. Just looking at certain things that we need to mention. Oh, just quick thing. Mark and Steven's hug is the same exact thing from the comics, which is cool. We see the bloody feet from author's feet. That was a cool touch. I really like that from this episode. Um, but yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this show. I think it's definitely top tier MCU show.
Yeah.
So thank you, Will, for joining me for this discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we got a couple weeks off until we do Miss Marvel, which is good.
Mhm.
So next week, hopefully, if everything gets back to normal, we'll do a Doctor Strange, into the Multiverse of Madness spoiler cast. That will be our next theme, or we're gonna do a Avengers, the first Avengers film podcast, because this year is its 10th anniversary, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Which I can't believe it. I'm like that old now. So, well, I'm actually older. Actually, I'm older. I'm older. I was born in the 60s. Anyway, not here and there. Anyway, so thank you, Will, for joining me. It was so fun. Yeah, it was a fun discussion, and thank you everyone for listening to this podcast. Happy Mother's Day. Hope you today and Sunday, of course, but when you hear this, it will be either tomorrow or Tuesday when I post this podcast. So have a good weekend, guys, and we'll see you guys later next time.